Well, I've done it again. I've bought too many books. But, justifications. This is over several months, and they're all thrifted. And I can do what I want, so. We're gonna start with Edith Wharton, because I have read one of these, and I'm reading one of them. So, first one I read was Ethan Frome. It is, well, this edition is one of those Penguin 20th Century Classics. I think it's really pretty. It was really good though. It's a tragedy when was that? It's like early 20th century New England winter tragedy. I don't know. It was really, really good though. So Ethan Frome, Edith Wharton, great winter read, but it is sad. And then the other one I got is The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. And yeah, I am 36 pages into it. I haven't read it recently, if we're being honest. It was previously annotated. There's some of my annotations and then another person. It is a brilliantly realized anatomy of New York society in the 1870s. I think some drama goes down. He, I think, maybe falls in love with his fiance's cousin, maybe? This is basic knowledge. I don't think this is spoiling. But yeah, some dude, he thinks he knows what's up. Turns out he doesn't. Tale as old as time. Next up, I got Tom Lake by Anne Pratchett. I don't know what it's about. I think it's maybe like a mother-daughter relationship. Beautiful and moving novel about family, love, and growing up. So, it's a contemporary fiction novel. I know nothing, but I thought I would like it. I don't remember anything about it, but I'm pretty sure I will like it. It does have the deckled edges. I don't think I like those. I like the look of them. I don't really like interacting with them. Next up is Life Among the Savages by Shirley Jackson. It is a memoir about raising her children and I was gonna say raising her husband, could be, about being a mother and a wife and a peek into what all that entails. I've got The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. And it's one of those books, everyone's like, you have to read that. Even if it's a children's book, you should read that. And I have never read it. I actually don't know anything about it, but it looks simple enough. Maybe it's not. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. I've read a couple of younger books, and yeah, there's a bit of magic to them. This one I have never heard of before, but I liked the look of it. It is pleasing to my eyes, and also the sound of it. So, it is The Sound of Waves by Yukio Mishima. This is a Berkeley Medallion book, originally sold for $1.50. Yeah, someone annotated this. This belonged to Pat. Shout out to Pat. They wrote their name in there. This edition is 1971. Yeah, it is translated from Japanese. A simple, exquisitely beautiful story of first love. Honestly, it caught my eye, and I love a love story. Love is cool. I love reading about it. A Room with a View by E.M. Forster. Isn't this a pretty cute edition? I like it. I bought it because, well, no, I bought it first because I liked the synopsis, so I bought the book. And then I watched the movie, and I have yet to read the book, because if we're being so honest, I didn't like the movie. Screwed myself over with that one. But basically, this girl, she goes on a trip to Florence with, I think, her cousin, her chaperone, her older chaperone, somehow related to her. And she meets this young man he's got spunk. He's got a bit of a carefree spirit about him. But she's already, I think, is she engaged back home to some Englishman who's, okay, actually the one with the spunk, he's an Englishman too. But this guy is like the Englishman, you know, like he's got ideas in his head about what a woman should be, what their relationship should be. He's kind of strange. But yeah, she has to do her thing. She has to do something. Oh, a receipt from the Primark in Cardiff. I've been there. Not to the Primark. I've been to Cardiff. They got a bunch of junk. Cool. 2014. Well, isn't that fun? I hope you enjoyed your junk, whoever you were, and your book. Though the receipt was right there, so I don't know if you finished it. But I too love sticking receipts in books. I use them as bookmarks. Flush by Virginia Woolf, another one that I have never heard of. She did A Room of One's Own, right? But Flush is about a dog named Flush. Playful, witty biography of a pet spaniel involving Italian travels and kidnappings. Asks what it is to be a dog and a human. Okay, another Little Black Classics is the old Nurse's Story, Elizabeth Gaskell. I think is it two different? Yeah, two different Victorian Gothic tales. Just kind of ghost stories set in the moors. And yeah, I am planning on, last year I read a few Steinbecks. He was kind of like my author of 2025. 2026, I'm thinking I'm gonna try and hit a few Elizabeth Gaskells because her North and South was my favorite book last year, and her other books call to me. So while we're at it, I've got a few more of her books. I bought one of these because I was listening to an audiobook called The Invention of Murder, which is mostly about Victorians and murder and how all that played out, how they reacted, changed stuff, how laws came into place, police, all of that. It was a lot. But the book was pretty frequently referencing authors from the Victorian times and how they would use current cases of murder, among other things, to kind of inspire their stories. And I think actually two of these by Elizabeth Gaskell I heard in that audiobook. The first one is Mary Barton. This is an Oxford Classics edition. I actually really like these editions. They have great notes. But Mary, the protagonist of the story, becomes caught up in the violence of class conflict when a brutal murder forces her to confront her true feelings and allegiances. And I don't remember the case that was referenced in that audiobook that I listened to, but it inspired this book about a young girl getting caught up in all those things. And then the other one, which I also don't remember what exactly inspired this, but like it kind of just makes sense overall, is Ruth, another Penguin Classics. Let's see, Ruth is an orphaned young seamstress who catches the eye of a gentleman, and she is taken in by him when she loses her job and her home, but he cruelly deserts her. And guess what? She has a baby, an illegitimate child. Big no-no. Elizabeth Gaskell daringly confronted prevailing views about sin and illegitimacy with her compassionate and honest portrait of a fallen woman. So, probably not going to be a very light-hearted read. I don't even know if this will have a happy ending, if we're honest. But Gaskell does a great job of writing about the times that she was in. And then, Cranford, also by Gaskell. The provincial town of Cranford is a community of delightful simplicity and innocence, yet its values were already old-fashioned and under threat from the inevitable forces of change when the mid-Victorian Mrs. Gaskell described them with ironic affection and a sharp eye for the ridiculous. 2026, the year of Elizabeth Gaskell. I'm gonna do it. This one is the most intimidated I've been by a book in a while. I had intended to start it a couple weeks ago, and then I ended up starting Crime and Punishment instead. So I'm very intimidated. This is Middlemarch by George Eliot. It is, she's a chunky one. I think into the 700s. And yeah, I'm so intimidated by it. It is the quintessential Victorian novel depicting a concept of life and society free of the dogma of the past, yet able to confront the skepticism that was taking over the age. George Eliot explores nearly every subject of concern to modern life: art, religion, science, politics, self, society, and human relationships. Also, isn't this a pretty cover? I love books. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I love the covers on these. I love covers that use paintings, because I was an art student at one point in life, and now I am a student of the world. The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. Pursuing questions of identity and insanity along the corridors of English country houses and the madhouse, it is the first and most influential of the Victorian sensation novels. So, we'll see. I read Dracula, which I think was actually after this, right? Yes? Yes. And that made me want to go back and read some other things along those same lines, and this is a predecessor. And I feel like I read something somewhere that something inspired someone, you know? I don't know, but this is a little out of my comfort zone. I don't read scary things. I don't know if this is scary. I mean, I liked Dracula. That's considered a horror book, so is Frankenstein. Didn't think either of those were scary. But The Woman in White. I got Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte. Drawing from her own experiences. This is Anne Bronte's first novel. She had an urgent need to inform her contemporaries about the desperate position of unmarried, educated women driven to take up the only respectable career open to them, that of a governess. And then I got The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. Thought I said that wrong for a second. And I think it's about this widow, right? Her diary entries reveal the shocking world of debauchery and cruelty from which she has fled. This is a hard-hitting critique of the position of women in Victorian society, a passionate tale of betrayal, set in a stern moral framework tempered by Anne Bronte's optimistic belief in universal redemption. This is another one I have never heard of. It is The Diary of a Nobody by George and Whedon Grossmith, and I think it's a silly book. We've got a book by Thomas Hardy. I haven't read Heated Far from the Madding Crowd. I haven't read that yet. My bad. But this is Tess of the Dubervilles. I don't know. I think it's a tragedy, actually. Hardy creates profound sympathy for human frailty while passionately indicting the injustices of Victorian society. We can stick with some women's stories. Oh, this is another Bantam classic. This is Nana by Emile Zola. When it was published in 1880, it immediately caused a sensation because it is a frank portrayal of a woman whose voracious appetites destroy the men and women drawn into her orbit, and was denounced as pornography on its publication. And then, sticking with French, because I'm so good at French, my pronunciation is so good, isn't it, guys? Right? Is Les Liaisons, Dangerous Liaisons by Pierre. I'm giving up. I'm sorry. This is going to be a very niche reference, and hopefully someone understands where I'm coming from. But it has these two people dressed up in, 18th century French court wear, I suppose. It reminds me of Singing in the Rain, the movie, where Gene Kelly, and then I don't remember the actress's name, are dressed up like that, and they're messing with the audio and stuff. I ran out of steam there, but I have a reference. That's why I got it. The Black Tulip by Alexander Dumas. Have I read The Count of Monte Cristo even though I bought it? No. Maybe I'll read this first. I don't know. This is, I think, a love story. It is his last major historical novel, a tale of romantic love, jealousy, and obsession, interweaving historical events surrounding the brutal murders of two Dutch statesmen in 1672, with the phenomenon of tulipomania. Last one I need help with, okay? I'm currently reading Crime and Punishment, really enjoying it. I really want to read The Idiot by Dostoevsky. But as I was figuring out which translation was best for Crime and Punishment, I also looked at which translation was best for The Idiot. And I think this was maybe not the right choice to buy this book. This translation is by Constance Garnett. Well, this says a new rendition by Anna Brailovsky based on the Constance Garnett translation. So if anyone has read these, if anyone knows anything, tell me. I was kind of thinking I should probably get, if this is not a good translation, maybe I would assume there's that one couple that does a lot of these translations. I think they're Russian, or one of them is. Maybe a translation by them. I don't know. But I would appreciate the help. That is my obscenely large haul of thrifted books. I have been asked before where I find these, and if we're being honest, I have a really terrible luck at thrift stores. Most of the time it's just dud after dud for me. So I would say almost all of these are from the website Thrift Books, which I quite enjoy. I know there's others out there, but that's the only one I've tried so far, because then I can choose different editions and different levels of wear and tear. So that's typically where I find a book if I'm looking for a book. So yeah, I'm gonna go. I will be back soon, probably next weekend. I'm thinking a vlog. I've got things to share with you guys. Like, I may or may not be a birder. What can I say? Big things are happening over here. So, I'm gonna go.